Hello and welcome once again to Quarterlight, a look around the average car of the past. Today is March the 8th. It was snowing, it's now sunny here in Canada and around -4 degrees C. Today's tea is of the English breakfast variety and the car is Japanese. Yes, we're going to look at the Subaru today. The Subaru 1980 range actually, which was printed in 1979. And the brochure will be for the USA market. We will look at that in a short moment, but first let's have a brief history of Subaru. Subaru is of course a Japanese manufacturer. Subaru cars are known for their use of the boxer engine layout in most vehicles above 1500cc and the symmetrical all-wheel drive layout that was first introduced all the way back in 1972. Both became standard equipment for mid-size and smaller cars in most markets by 1996. Subaru is the Japanese name for the Seven Sisters star cluster, one of whom traditionally says is invisible, hence only 6 stars in the Subaru logo, which in turn inspires the logo and alludes to the company that merged to create Fuji Heavy Industries. Fuji Heavy Industries started out as the Aircraft Research Laboratory in 1915. In 1932, the company was reorganized as the Nakajima Aircraft Company. This company would soon become a major manufacturer of aircraft for Japan during World War II. Although at the end of the Second World War, Nakajima Aircraft was again reorganized, this time as the Fuji Sangyo Company Limited in 1946, creating the Fuji Rabbit, a mini scooter made out of aircraft parts. In 1950, Fuji Sangyo was divided into 12 smaller corporations. 5 of these corporations and a newly formed corporation decided to merge to form Fuji Heavy Industries. Again, why there's 6 stars. Kenja Kito of Fuji Heavy Industries at the time wanted the new company to be involved in car manufacturing and soon began plans for building a car with the development code name P1. In the end, he gave the company a Japanese name that he had been cherishing in his heart, Subaru. The Subaru name was born. Now let's have a quick look at today's brochure. Here it is. Okay, here it is, the Subaru Brochure. The 80 of course, referring to the model year 1980, although the brochure itself was actually printed in 79. As you can see, it's in pretty good condition overall. You will see a slight line on this front cover, but that was actually created by Luna the cat, and she's very cute, so we can't be too annoyed by that. It also shows on this brochure, if we can see if we can pick that out on the camera, a dealer brochure stamp there from the Little Foreign Car Shop Inc., Freeland, PA. in the USA. So it is the USA market brochure, but it's always nice to see them little dealer stamps on there. I wonder if the Little Foreign Car Shop Inc. is still in existence. I don't know. If you know, let me know. Okay, let's look at the inside the brochure itself. The first page is showing a very sort of 70s interior colour choice there. That's really a love it or hate it colour choice. And then the next page shows the actual interior of the car. From these pictures it looks like it's very high spec and there's lots of equipment, but as we will see later, they really weren't very well equipped at all. A few of the headlines on this brochure: when you're engineered for economy in the first place, you can afford to add luxury in lots of other places. This was not a luxury car by any means. A car built to pinch pennies doesn't have to squeeze its passengers. It wasn't a particularly roomy car either, as we can remember from cars back then. A better informed driver is a better driver. Again, telling us there's lots of equipment on there, but really there isn't, although it does look well equipped on these pictures, I must admit. An engine that makes the car handle better. When it comes to smooth ride and effortless cornering, Subaru doesn't cut corners. Safety first, second and last. Now that we've seen the beauty of our logic, take a test drive and enjoy the logic of our beauty. We don't take your passengers' temperatures for granted. That's telling us there's lots of vents in the car. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way. Okay, and we can see the first picture actually showing the vehicles themselves here. The first one over here is showing the two sedans there, the GL and the DL. The DL was the more basic version of the GL's got a little bit of extra chrome trim on there, and no doubt a few little extra features on there. Next to it was the hatchback version. Strange with the hatchback, the DL was the higher model on this one, because there is actually a lower spec version just called the standard, which we'll have a look at. And this is the DL four-wheel drive hatchback, so we're starting to look at Subarus, what we think of now as being four-wheel drive vehicles. And here actually it does actually show the base model in the center page here, the 1980 Subaru four-wheel drive hatchback. This is called the standard. It's probably the most basic version of car in this entire brochure. This particular one doesn't even have a radio in it. You usually have to go up to the DL to get the AM radio. So very, very low equipped. But usually with Subarus, they tend to spend the money on the four-wheel drive system, so the features aren't as high as maybe some similarly priced cars at the time. Although, you know, you bought a Subaru for the four-wheel drive system, knowing it was the same price as a two-wheel drive car if you needed that. Again, it's showing the comparison between the DL and the standard. The standard not even having any body trim on the doors, so don't park too close at the supermarket car park on that. Next to it was a little bit more of an unusual model. It's showing the GLF hardtop, the DL hardtop, sort of a coupe styled vehicle. The GLF was probably the highest model in this particular brochure, and it does tell us the GLF includes an AM FM radio, a tachometer, a low fuel light. There we go. So that's quite some luxury features. It also says you'll get wider tyres for better manoeuvrability, plush carpeting, stylish luxury interiors, and oil pressure gauge. Wow, an oil pressure gauge on that one. So that was your fancy version. The next page on here is showing the GL station wagons, looking a bit more like what we think of a Subaru as being these more station wagon looking versions, although these particular models were only actually two-wheel drive versions. The GL and the DL, again the DL being the lower spec car in there. And then next to it, it's the Brat, the Subaru Brat. I don't know if we can remember the Brat, sort of a pickup looking vehicle, although of course not any sort of chassis or anything like that. It would be a monocoque designed vehicle, but they were very popular at the time? I don't know, you tell me, were they popular? You do see very rarely to see one now, of course, because they all rusted away, but I think it's quite a nicely designed vehicle, the Brat. Very nice sort of like period decals on the side there, very nice coloured, sort of marking the age of the vehicle. The GL having these sort of a nicer wheel, one of the looks like base steel wheels on there as well. Again, 4-wheel drive, of course. The Brat ran from 1978 to 1994. Brat standing for Bi-Drive Recreational All-Wheel Drive All-Terrain Transport. Quite a mouthful, really. In other markets, they were known as the 284 in the UK, the Brumby in Australia, and in other markets there was also known as names like the Shifter, the MV, the Targa. So many different names for different markets. I think the thing that surprises me most about the Brat is that it was never officially sold in Japan. They just grey exported some of them back into the country because they quite like them. Let's have a look at the next page. Again, these seem to be more what we think of as being Subarus, this sort of station wagon design. These were the actual 4-wheel drive wagons. The DL again being the more basic version. The GL again is sort of like a white designed wheel on there, with bigger tyres, bigger wheels in fact by the looks of it. But again, that kind of reminds me more of today's Subarus, and certainly the start of what we think of as a Subaru today. And yeah, so they were a very practical family vehicle, of course, that also had 4-wheel drive, probably for the similar sort of price of a 2-wheel drive vehicle, hence how they became very popular. Let's have a look on the other side of this page. Again, it looks like it's showing on there a GL 4-wheel drive wagon by the looks of it. And it shows the different colours. So the colours we had choice of was Shadow Beige, Spark Blue, Cotton White, Carmine Red, Cashmere Beige, Mild Yellow, Deep Blue, Fine Silver and Walnut Brown. Some colours we certainly don't see today, and certainly of the lighter end of the colour spectrum. Today we get much darker vehicles, seem to be more popular, and it shows the GL 4-wheel drive wagon, as we've said, available with an 1800cc engine with an automatic transmission and a 1600cc engine with a 4-speed manual transmission and 4-wheel drive. Finally we get to the back page, and this is basically showing all the different versions and what equipment you actually got on there. Like I say, it's hard to see on there, but this is what they call the standard hatchback. You've had very little equipment on there, like I say, not even a radio on there. Again, this is showing at the back here, Subaru and inexpensive and built to stay that way, and the bottom there, I don't know if you can see it, printed in the USA, 1979. So there we have it. That is the Subaru Brochure. A very robust little car, We don't see many of them around anymore. Most of them at that time, the 70s and 80s, tended to have quite serious rust issues, so most of them have gone, although I'm sure there are some in some warmer climates like Australia. I'm sure there's some of them still running around today, because they were reliable and well built vehicles for sure. And I think that pretty much wraps up this episode today of Quarter Light. It's been nice of you to join us and to listen about the Subaru and my joy of these older brochures. So thank you so much for watching, and if you do like this video, please like and subscribe. It does help me greatly if you do that. Thank you so much, and look out for a new video very soon. Bye for now.